The year 2022 was one of personal and shuttle diplomacy by President Muhammadu Buhari and members of his administration. Entering the new year, 2022, no one predicted a war in Eastern Europe would create a security situation for African students, many of whom were taking advantage of cheaper education in Ukraine.
Because the last explosion that happened took place close to my house. Funny enough, I was just in my kitchen trying to prepare something. I saw how my house shook. Like I ran away from the kitchen, and it's been very traumatizing.
As the war progressed, calls for the evacuation of Nigerian students grew louder. And by the beginning of March, following negotiations between foreign ministers of Ukraine and Nigeria, and through the help of a number of non-governmental organizations, evacuations began for the Nigerian students. While scores of them returned straight to the country, a number of them sought to continue their education in neighboring European countries, such as Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, and even England. And as West Africa's political crisis worsened with another coup in Mali, a coup in Burkina Faso, in Guinea, and an attempted coup in Guinea-Bissau, President Buhari jetted off to Accra, Ghana for an ECOWAS emergency meeting aimed at helping to restore democratic rule in the countries. ECOWAS decided to isolate Mali economically, calling on member states to boycott relations with them as well. Former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, in his role as ECOWAS Special Envoy, spent most of 2022 on this subject with limited success. In the month of June, the president was in Portugal for talks with his Portuguese counterpart, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, and participated in the United Nations Ocean Conference. Both countries also signed as many as 10 agreements and memoranda of understanding in air travel, political consultations, diplomatic training, and others. President Buhari was also one of the leaders attending the Commonwealth meeting in Kigali, Rwanda. On the sidelines, he held bilaterals with other Commonwealth leaders, including the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and representatives of the Nigerian community in Rwanda, about the Commonwealth's continued relevance in today's modern world.
Prince Charles might not be as diplomatic as the Queen because we know that he has so many, he has his own issues on various agendas like climate change, like the environmental issues. Whether that will mark or break the Commonwealth, it's up for us to see.
Representing the president at the Queen's funeral was Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo. As the year wound down, the president attended his last UN General Assembly in New York, where he vowed to entrench a process of free, fair, transparent and credible elections through which Nigerians select leaders of their choice.
As the 78th Anga, there will be a new face at this podium speaking for Nigeria. Ours is a vast country, strengthened by its diversity and its common values of hard work, enduring faith, and a sense of community. We have invested heavily to strengthen our framework for free and fair elections. As President, I have set the goal that one of the enduring legacies I would like to leave is to entrench a process of free, fair, and transparent, credible election through which Nigerians elect their choice.
President Buhari would make another visit to the U.S., this time to attend the second U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C., where he also talked on the side with President Joe Biden. Nigeria would go on to sign the Artemis Accords, a series of non-binding multilateral agreements concerning space between the United States and other governments. Nigeria and Rwanda became the first signatories. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
Well, to discuss further Nigeria's performance on the global stage is the Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, Ambassador Elijah Oyagba. He joins us from Awka in Anambra State. Ambassador Oyagba, thank you for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you so very much. It's great to be here.
Well, let me just say Happy New Year to you. I know it's the start of a new year, but it's important to assess the last 365 days hoping to learn from them. And I wonder for you, how would you rate Nigeria's performance on the global stage in the past year?
Oh, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here again this evening. I will tell you that as a diplomat and accessing what President Muhammadu Buhari has done, and of course the Nigerian nation activities and our performance in the global scene. A lot of people have looked at the president's trips. A lot of people have been trying to find out what benefits there are arising from most of the engagements we've had in the last 1 year. But I can tell you that as an ambassador representing the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I think that the president has done very, very well in the global scene in the last 365 days. You can look at a lot of sectors and the achievement that we've got therefrom. And take, for example, the defense sector. That it was our engagement with Russia that actually ensured that our military is far well equipped than they were previous years and, of course, in previous administration. You can also take that up to the position Nigerians are occupying in the international scene, from the World Trade Organization to some of the offices or positions that we have within the African continent. You can take the ADB, for example. You can also take the Afrexim, for example. You see that Nigeria has done well in the last 365 days. And of course, if you like, you can also add the recovery of looted funds that this present administration negotiated and ensured we got back into the country to help finance our infrastructure and some of the social investment programs that the president has. So if you ask me, and from my point of view, I also serve in Burundi. The last 365 days has also been very eventful, and we've done a lot in trying to promote or improve the relations between Nigeria and Burundi, and we've laced that up with quite a lot of activities. And the bane or the focus of Nigeria's foreign policy is Africa unity, and even within the continent, the country have played a dominant role like that of a big brother. So if you ask me, I think I'll rate this present government very high with its engagement at the international scene.
Well, one of the major highlights of the year really is President Buhari's involvement in lots of shuttle diplomacy. And specifically speaking now, what were the specific achievements?
Oh, thank you very much. I had actually mentioned the strengthening of our defense and the improvement in our military hardware, which came about as a result of our engagement with Russia. Even the last year alone, you will also recall that the president also spent some time in South Korea. In that meeting, there was an agreement that was signed to ensure the turnaround maintenance of Kaduna Refinery and the few other refineries of the country. The Minister of State for Petroleum was there with the Nigerian ambassador to South Korea. And of course, lately, there was this engagement between the African leaders and the United States, the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit, where Nigeria became the 23rd signatory to the agreement, that the NASA agreement. So I believe that these are the things that, the country must look back and celebrate, because what that means is that the country can now become an active player and be present at the table where all these issues relating to the space are being discussed. So in addition to all of this, you also know that there are sectors that we've managed to secure investments in foreign investments. You can also look at the Morocco visit and the Morocco engagement that the NNPC signed, LNG and NNPC signed an agreement to have a gas pipeline across to that location. So I think that if you have to rate the performance in specific terms, there are very many achievements that this government have put on the table for Nigerians in the international scene.
But we've been speaking with Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba, who is the Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, and he's been taking us through his perception of Nigeria's performance on the global scene. in 2022. Thank you so much for your time on the News at 10, Ambassador.